I had a great time at the RV show, sat down with Tequila Paul and asked him some questions about RVing in Mexico. I really would like to go to Mexico over the winter and at the RV show, and through a Facebook group called RVing Mexico, I found this lovely young gentleman.
Well, you're really young.
Okay. You're young today. Goes by the name of Tequila Paul. And I did find out that there's really no big story behind that. It's just kind of Mexican. But you've been going over the border for
12 years.
12 years.
Yeah.
So you know what you're doing.
I do now, yes. I didn't the first time.
And how many times did it take you going over before you?
Basically twice. The first time I went down Baja, and I was super paranoid. Like, I had a truck and a camper.
Yeah.
I put an alarm system in the camper, motion detectors outside. I had an axe inside the camper so I could pound out the window between the camper and the truck in case I had to escape into the truck without going outside.
Yeah.
I'm like super paranoid.
Yeah.
And that fear pretty much disappeared after the first time down. But that was the first time down into Baja, which is, everybody calls that Mexico light.
Yeah.
You don't need permits, so it's a lot less hassle, and a lot of people go down there.
And that maybe I'm going to bring into the first question, because you just did a seminar on RVing in Mexico.
Right.
And one thing you brought up that I didn't know too much about was you need 2 different permits.
Yeah, you only need permits on the mainland if you're going south of Guaymas, which is about 1 day drive south of the border at Nogales.
Okay.
But you need 2 separate permits if you're towing a trailer. If you've got a motorhome, basically you just need 1 permit, and that's quite easy to handle.
Yeah.
I mean, the actual complications of getting that permit are a lot less hassle than trying to get permits for a truck towing a trailer.
So I've got a truck, I've got my 5th wheel, I'm going to need to get the 2.
So you need 2 permits, and they're 2 different types of permit.
Yeah.
On the trailer you will get a 10-year, and they do that so you can leave the trailer in Mexico if you want and just drive home and fly down. And that also applies for Class C's and Class A's. And that sort of thing. But as soon as you've got a motorized vehicle you're bringing in, be it a truck that's towing a trailer or you're towing a tow car, you got to get a 180-day permit on that, which is only 6 months. And you got to pay a deposit, and you have to remove that vehicle from Mexico within 6 months. Okay?
What would you say would be your top 3 kind of important tips for people, not just people RVing going to Mexico, but like going into Mexico?
Well, in general, the main thing is to stay away from drugs, stay away from people that do drugs, don't hang out in bars at 2 o'clock in the morning. You're not going to have any issues.
So don't get involved with anything with drugs, and I think you mentioned don't drive at night.
Don't drive at night. Certainly ranch lands and farms, they don't fence it, and quite often you have livestock on the roads at night. You don't want to hit a cow in the middle of the night. If you can't make it to, if you're in an RV and you can't make it to where you're going to camp, stop at a Pemex station. Virtually all of them will let you camp overnight. Most of them are open 24 hours. Don't go and park way in the back corner in the shadows where there's no light. Just park up close where there's lots of activity, and you'll be fine.
I know we don't need a special driver's license to drive down there, but something I learned today at the seminar was some of the different rules of the road. You talked about like on a dotted line.
If it's a 2-lane highway and you see a dotted line on the shoulder,
yeah, that
means you're expected to drive half on the shoulder and half in the laneway.
Yeah.
And that allows people to pass on a 2-lane, they can pass anywhere. So I've actually seen it where there's been 4 vehicles across the road at the same time, and it's very disconcerting.
Yeah, if you're not used to it.
Yeah, if you're not used to it. But it's a very good system because people don't get frustrated.
Yeah.
If it suddenly turns solid, that means there's a bridge abutment coming up and you need to get back into your own lane.
Yeah.
So,
I think the tip, from me listening to you talk is probably not just knowing what you need to drive, but knowing when you are traveling, knowing some of the rules of the road and if they are any different.
Well, the big one is using your left-hand turn signal. In Mexico, put your left-hand turn signal on a highway, you're signaling to the car behind you or the truck behind you that it's okay to pass you. So if you are actually making a left-hand turn, that can cause a big problem.
Yeah.
So if you have to make a left-hand turn out of a highway onto a side road, especially an unmarked one, you want to just slow down, put your flashers on, and look behind you and make sure there's nobody behind you. Because as soon as you put that left-hand turn signal on,
someone might try to
pass you, and then bang, you got a problem.
The other thing you mentioned earlier that I think is super important for me going down as an RV newbie, to make sure that there's certain things that I have.
Right.
You can't buy a lot of RV parts.
You can't
in
buy
Mexico.
any RV parts in Mexico. You might find the odd campground may sell a few basics, but that's pretty rare even so. So I take anything I think that I cannot live without. I mean, I went down one year and I had my sewer hose stored in the bumper of the RV. And there's dust and everything, and it's bouncing around in there. It got full of pinholes. So as soon as I went to dump, there was stuff squirting all over the place. Very unpleasant. Well, I can't buy another sewer hose down there. I managed to fix it with duct tape, and that's how I managed that whole season. So I always carry an extra sewer hose. You want to make sure you take enough sanitizer too. You can't buy that down there.
Yeah, to stay clean.
You know, I tend to use this 5-star Happy Camper stuff they've been selling at the show. It comes in a tub, it's powder, it lasts a whole year. And it's, you know, it works in the heat. That's the other thing. Some of these sanitizers, as soon as you get over 90 degrees, they don't work very well.
You said we cannot get propane down in Mexico, or that it's really hard to find.
You can't buy it at gas stations. You know, like here, you just go to a gas station and fill up your propane tank.
Yeah.
Down there, they're usually at separate outlets, and you usually find them on the outskirts of town. Okay. Probably the most common one is Global Gas, but you'll see them. It's pretty obvious they're a propane dispensing station. You go in there and he'll come out and he'll fill your tank. Now, if you got an onboard tank, he may or may not be able to fill it. If you have the portable ones, chances are he will be able to fill it. Quite often at the larger RV parks, they will come around with a truck and fill you while you're in the RV park. Same thing with water. Quite often the water trucks will come around because you don't want to be drinking the water down there.
Yes, and I think everybody knows not to drink the water in Mexico, right? For sure.
But propane's not really a big issue. You know, you don't go through a lot of it down there. You're not using heat.
Yeah.
A lot of people have fridges that will work off electricity or propane. So if you're plugged in, you put it on electricity. On the subject of electricity, that's a whole different issue. The electricity down there is not very good quality. You even need to buy yourself a device to protect yourself against too high or too low voltage. You can buy those at Camping World. They're about $260 US, quite expensive.
But they'll save you a lot of hassle.
Well, they may save you. They'll save your
right?
fridge board or your air conditioner or something like that. If the voltage goes too low, especially, it's dangerous. You can also buy voltage regulators. You can buy them in Mexico. I see they are available online if you go on Amazon. And you need to buy something that will bring up the low voltage if it's too low and drop down the high voltage if it's too high. I've seen voltages in Mexico range from 90 volts to 150 volts.
Yeah.
And even in the United States, sometimes you can go into an RV park and it's got bad voltage.
Better be safe than sorry.
Better safe than sorry, yeah.
So Tequila Paul is Wagonmaster? Well, is that the leader of
I have been a Wagonmaster. I don't do it all the time.
So he's at the RV show here, giving some information for the company Caravanas de Mexico. Mexico. I'm going to be working on my Spanish, trust me.
Yeah.
And they are a caravan company. So if you're not as brave or crazy as maybe me, it would definitely be working out. I'm going to include the link to their website here to check out. And you can be part of a caravan group, which I wanted to ask you.
Well, the other thing you can do too is you go on the website as you scan down the website, at the very bottom, a little bar will come up. And if you click on that bar, you'll get subscribed to our newsletter. Yeah. And it's not a sale; it's soft sell, right? So we have information there, but we also put little tidbits in there, like on this power issue, like this. So, and you know, it's just sort of a general information thing. And if you just want to go down there on your own, you can use that information to go down there on your own.
Yeah. Well, and I know from my posts that I've made on social media, Canadians, the Canadian dream is to winter down in Mexico. And I mean, if you're not as crazy as me to buy your own RV, I think the caravanning and doing that in a group and doing it has some advantages.
I would say 25% of the people who take a caravan with us end up going on their own in a subsequent season.
Yes.
This causes us problems. Some of the nicer RV parks, we got one RV park just north of Puerto Vallarta. We can't get into it except in March now because it's full of our ex-customers. So my motivation is a little different than you would expect me sitting here and selling caravans.
For sure. Thank you for sitting down and chatting with me. And I'm hoping maybe I'll be having a drink with you in Mexico.
Yeah, sure.
Tequila.
Exactly.
Cool.
Yeah.